Como se dice en español, the Anthem podcast. This is Corey.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Rob.
I just wanted to see if I could rile up the peanut gallery.
Welcome to episode 220 of the Anthem podcast. It is 9:22 p.m. Pacific at the end of a very long day, which makes it 12:22 a.m. Eastern. I know the Anthem is live from coast to coast, broadcasting from the hashtag OTA LA studios, high above the 110 freeway in beautiful downtown Los Angeles, California. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for all that you do, liking the Facebook page, following us on Twitter, subscribing to the podcast, all of these things. Me and Rob, we just can't get enough of it.
Absolutely. And of course, you can find us on Facebook. Well, you found us right now because you're watching on Facebook Live. Oh, the Anthem on Facebook. If you're listening to this on Tuesday, well, I suppose that's something a little different. Yeah, find us on Facebook, Oh the Anthem. Add Oh the Anthem on Twitter and Instagram as well. And if you're a glutton for punishment, plus Oh the Anthem on Google+. And of course, you can, at any time during the week, join us on the listener line, 443-219-7595.
What's that number again?
443-219-7595. Let us know your thoughts from this week, what we have to say. I don't know if it's going to be too controversial.
Oh,
Maybe just a little bit.
maybe just a smidge.
Anyway, so jumping into it this week, let's start out a little lighthearted. We found out this week that there are new competitors on the market for our favorite service, MoviePass.
Yes.
Now, one story we didn't get to last week. MoviePass officially topped 3 million subscribers, which is good news because it means 3 million people are paying the $10 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not people are taking advantage of it to the tune of $30 million a month, I don't know. I would guess so.
Probably.
Some people are abusing it, like us.
Though we have actually slowed down significantly.
We have. We really
and
have.
I think that has always been part of MoviePass's plan.
Of course it has.
And even though we're not getting like our money's worth in the sense of seeing 30 films a month,
Right.
we're still seeing more than one time a month is already not profitable for MoviePass.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to one movie at LA Live at $18.99 or whatever it is for a movie. So we make out on the first movie. I mean, some people somewhere might be break even, $9.99 for the first ticket. So, you really have to go to 2. But for us, it's worthwhile right from the get-go. And not worthwhile for MoviePass. Also not worthwhile for MoviePass, investing in movies, apparently.
Yeah.
Another piece of news from last week.
Gotti was not well received.
But did you see the controversy around it?
Yeah, with the Rotten Tomatoes score.
Yeah, perhaps there is something afoot.
Well, seeing as more people reviewed Gotti on Rotten Tomatoes than reviewed Incredibles 2, which was seen by many, many, many more people.
Yeah, largest opening ever for a Pixar movie.
Yeah,
I think. So
I think that it certainly sounds like somebody is buying Indian likes to your movie, essentially.
Yeah. So I
There's
guess
like a server farm somewhere that's working overdrive on Gotti reviews.
So we'll see how it shakes out. I think that MoviePass didn't necessarily do a bad thing. I actually heard that from like the critic score was messed up, but the audience score was messed up. The critic score was good, right?
No, the critic score was very bad. I think it had like a 4% or something like that on Rotten Tomatoes. At one point, it had 0, but I think a couple ticked in to like bring it up a smidge.
Sweet.
But it was the audience score that was like really high, which is why they thought there was something afoot.
Right. Yeah. I thought it was the other way around, but nonetheless,
because it's unusual for movies to be. I mean, like unless you're talking about something like Fast and Furious, where most of the critics can't turn off their brain and go like, oh, this is definitely a fun movie. You should go see it. Because they just go like, well, why is The Rock here now? Whereas the audience is just like, hey, The Rock's in this movie. It's awesome. The best thing ever. 10 out of 10.
And we have a special scale only for Fast and the Furious movie. Because we know we're not going to see an Oscar caliber movie. It's literally just going to see something did it deliver on expectations? That's the question.
Did you have fun?
Yes.
That's essentially the question. That's the one that I've carried over to the Corey Baker Filmmaker reviews,
right?
Which you can find on YouTube. And I mean, I think it's the easiest way of telling somebody for a movie that's not Citizen Kane, whether or not it's like
did it deliver?
Yeah, did it deliver?
So now news comes out this week that 2 major film or what's not film displayers? What are they?
Distributors?
No, not distributors either, because it's just actually the houses.
Yeah,
the movie
theater
houses.
companies.
Yeah, Both AMC theaters, to which we are members of the premium service Stubs, that premium service that gets you exactly 0 benefits and doesn't have a scannable card, which makes no sense to me. AMC, step up your game. But they are doing their own premium service that will allow you to see 3 movies a month?
3 movies a week.
3 movies a week.
There's no rollover.
Right.
And it comes with all the like super high-end Stubs benefits. So, I mean, like with Stubs, they have like a regular in-the-door thing, which is free. Which essentially you gain points for every purchase, all the tickets, all the concessions, everything like that, like you would do at almost every other movie theater. If you bump it up, there's like a thing where you can cut lines.
Which is a bit bullshit. Especially
and like
because
you pay less on concessions and stuff like that. Which would really be. I mean, if you were going all the time, that would make the most sense. Where you pay 20% less for your popcorn. Yeah. But this one again, like it's $20 a month, so it's double what MoviePass is. It limits you to, I mean, hypothetically, 12 movies a week because it's 3 movies 12 movies a month.
Yeah,
because it's 3 movies a week. And
still more than we're seeing, really.
None of those roll over. So I mean, essentially, you could still get your money's worth if you live in LA and you saw 2 movies at an AMC a month.
Right.
But I just don't. I feel like it's just so far to go for an AMC for me.
I was going to say they're far from us, but that also does limit you from 3D movies either.
No, I mean you can see 3D and large format IMAX and stuff like that.
But we'd have to go even further for an AMC that offers a IMAX or 3D screen. Actually,
I think they have one in Burbank.
Yeah, you're right. The one in Burbank does. It's one of the 2
right.
has the
they have the
3D
6
screen.
and 18 or 6 and 8,
but
16 and 8.
It's not Regal close. It's not right here, walking distance,
right.
short Uber distance close. So that's one thing. But something that is the Alamo Drafthouse.
Well, not yet. One of these days, hopefully.
But this is the one when I saw the story, I knew that this would pique Corey's interest because if there's one thing he loves in a movie theater, it's quiet.
Yes.
And Alamo is possibly...
But there's one thing I love. It's Alamo Drafthouse.
That's true. Yes.
My favorite theater chain in the entire world.
And we've been anxiously awaiting the downtown location to open for the entire 18 months that we've lived in LA. Mm-hmm. And it said, coming soon for 18 months.
Well, at least now they have their graphic on the wall.
Right.
So I feel like it's actually going to happen at some point. And it looks like it's, being built, but I don't know at what point we're actually going to get the Amazon or the Alamo goodness.
Right. And I've never been to an Alamo theater.
You're going to love it. You're going to love it.
I'm excited about it. Except for,
I also have a gift card burning a hole in my pocket so I can, like that first movie I go see, I can get myself like a burger and a beer and
I sometimes go to movies with people
enjoy myself chocolat.
I sometimes go to movies with people who don't live by Corey's rules when it comes to talking in the theater, so I don't know how well that's going to work out. We also tend to go to movies with people who drink while they go to the theaters.
Yeah.
So,
well, you can still do that. You just got to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to work with this crew, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see. But Alamo is now offering their own subscription service. I didn't look at the details because, again, I saw the story and I'm like, oh, Corey will love this, but we don't have an Alamo Drafthouse nearby, so...
Well, the good news is it's not like an official plan yet.
Right.
So they have a theater in Yonkers, New York, which is in the suburbs north of New York City, where my friend the twins live. Our friends the twins live.
My friend the twins.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they're apparently reaching out to some of the Victory Club members with like sort of a trial.
Victory Club. You have to catch us up, those of us who don't know.
That's the Alamo version of the Stubs program. Okay. It's a free rewards program.
Or the Regal Crown Club.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, essentially what they're going to do is they're going to, I think, sort of create a couple different membership options, and they're going to see which one the customers seem to enjoy the most before moving it out to broader, to all the theaters or more theaters or however it works. I'm sure my brother is going to love that one because he goes to the Alamo all the time in San Francisco, and the reason he stopped, he actually quit his MoviePass account
and just went
and just pays full freight for tickets.
Well, because Alamo, they don't accept MoviePass.
No, they do.
Oh, do they?
But the problem was that all the movies that he would want to see at the Alamo Drafthouse sold out like a week in advance. So there was no walking up the day of and buying tickets.
Right, yeah.
He would have to buy tickets like first thing in the morning and hope that there were seats available. And he was just like, I can afford to pay for movies, so I'd rather just.
Of course you can.
Well, I mean, he's not going like all the time either. So that was his other thing. He's just like, I'm going to the movies like once, maybe twice a month anyway.
He's barely in San Francisco to hate it. So, I mean, really.
They don't have MoviePass in Copenhagen or whatever international location he's being a James Bond villain in.
Buenos Aires? I mean, he's really all over the place. And, and they don't have MoviePass anywhere but the US. So he's so rarely in the US, it really doesn't make sense for him to pay that $9.95 a month.
Yeah.
He wouldn't really get any use of it. So, but is this something that would interest you, I guess, is the question.
Yeah, I mean, like, so what I like about this is that I feel that the subscription model has sort of proven itself, even through the financial questions of MoviePass, has proven to be something that people like. They would rather just pay for the access to the movies rather than the movies themselves. And I think that studios are going to enjoy it because they can sort of go back to the days of blockbusting of block billing, where they can just sort of like, they have 10 movies, and the idea before was to get the Jurassic World, you have to buy my 9 shitty movies as well.
Right.
And now, movie theaters studios are going to be less worried about whether or not a movie that would get nominated for an Oscar but might not be box office success will be more successful now, because I remember the producers of Lady Bird were talking about how they far exceeded their projected box office because people got MoviePass all of a sudden, and everyone went to go see it because they could see it for free, essentially.
Well, for free.
Yeah, I mean, they could see it part of their deal,
right?
And they got paid for the ticket regardless.
Right.
So, I mean, I could see how the distributors would like it. I would see how the studios would like it. The only people who didn't like it were the theater companies. But again, like a gym membership, if you're paying $20 for your Stubs thing and then you don't go 1 month, you're just like, oh, I was so busy, I didn't even get a chance to go to the movies. And then that's just $20 in the possession of AMC, and then eventually you're just going to forget to go all the time.
As you say, inevitably also they will offer some sort of family plan. And that's where the money will come in.
Right.
Because, like, you don't think about, or if, like, hey, I'm going to take the kids and their friends. I'm not going to use my MoviePass for that. I'm going to go and buy 13 tickets. Not buy 4 on the MoviePass and then an additional 7 or 8 or 9 or whatever.
Yeah.
I'll just go buy them all. We'll use the MoviePass next time, but next time never comes. So,
well, what I would really like, I mean, so MoviePass has announced some new things. One of which I don't like, which is the surge pricing.
Okay,
They're going forward with that, which is essentially trying to push you to the more profitable for the theater times of like during the weekday.
Right. Which is fine because we go pretty often during the week.
Yeah. But I mean, like they will charge you more if you go see Jurassic World on opening weekend, as opposed to if you go see it on like a Wednesday, at which they will not give you a surge pricing, apparently.
Yeah.
I think it's all up in the air what happens and how much these things are. I mean, if it's like, 50 cents and you get to see it on a Saturday, then I'm sure a lot of people are just going to be like, yeah, sure, whatever.
It's
take
fine.
my 50 cents.
It's fine.
But they are going to do a bring a friend feature where you can pay extra for the ticket of the person who comes with you.
Right.
And if that person signs up for MoviePass in 24 hours, then you get that money refunded to you.
Oh.
So, I mean, like, hypothetically, it would be great if you're bringing somebody who you're trying to convince of MoviePass's goodness, and you're just like, you know what? I got your ticket. Just sign up for it tomorrow, and this will be refunded to me.
Well, and I think there's a lot of people I've told about it, and they think, despite the fact that I made a video about this, how easy it was to sign up and to use, they think that it's much more difficult to use than it actually is. It's literally just like buying a ticket the same day. A little annoying because you can't do it in advance, but otherwise.
Well, they're also talking about more advanced ticket purchasing options and stuff like that, and 3D,
right,
4D, large format type of things.
How much would you pay for the MoviePass that lets you see IMAX 3D movies?
I mean, I think what they're proposing is not a bigger MoviePass, like a premium MoviePass, but rather you pay a cut of the extra.
Yeah, I mean, I would be willing to do
like,
that.
I would have been fine with that before.
Yeah.
Where, I just go and...
Well, you tried to do that. You were talking about going in and trading
I never tried to do it, to be clear. I said,
yes.
I don't see why this wouldn't work.
Yeah.
And then like a month later, I heard about MoviePass like shutting down like 10,000 people's accounts who tried to do
For
this.
doing
I'm
this
just like,
very thing.
I'm just like, oh, okay, so it's frowned upon.
Yeah. Also, then they make you start taking a picture of your ticket stub. So there was that too.
The other thing is there's another company that I always seems to get sort of lost in the shuffle here a little bit, but Semenia, they need to change their fucking name.
Yeah, for fuck's sake, I can't even pronounce it.
But it's a similar thing in the sense that you pay a monthly subscription and you can go see any movie, regardless of whether it's 3D or IMAX or anything like that. And you can order the tickets early. You can pick your seats. You can do everything like that. The only problem is that it limits the number of movies that you can see per month.
I think it's only 4.
I think that like the high end of their plan is 4, but you can go to any theater. Right. So I mean, like the ArcLight, which is a premium theater experience here in LA. If you wanted to go see a movie at the ArcLight once a month, you could have an additional Semenia card,
right?
And just pay the like $5 or whatever it is for the one movie a month plan, and go see one movie at the ArcLight every month, and it would still be cheaper than going to the ArcLight.
I don't think it's $5 a month. I think that's the problem. I want to say that $12.99 is their cheapest plan.
No, they have a very cheap plan.
Oh,
they have a very cheap plan that includes just like one movie a month.
See, I don't like this thing where we're becoming like, I got to buy my online experience a la carte. I got to buy my movie experience a la carte.
And that's what this is going to end up being. This is going to end up being where you, much like, rather than having a cable plan, we're paying, $12 a month for Netflix and $15 a month for Hulu. And we're saying to ourselves like, oh, okay, we're saving a lot less money than we are if we had cable.
Right.
And then a year and a half from then, we have Netflix and Hulu and HBO and Showtime and everything like purchased individually. And it's more expensive than the cable plan.
Right.
It's just we're paying individually for 5-6 different services.
And to be fair, I don't have to give Comcast a check. And that actually makes me happy. I would almost rather pay all of it than have to pay Comcast.
Well, I mean, if you got Hulu or HBO, you're kind of paying
Listen,
Comcast.
I don't want to think about that, okay? Yes. That means I am still paying them. But to be fair, if I watch any of my favorite NBC shows, I'm basically supporting Comcast.
Yeah.
So, and maybe some of my favorite Fox shows
coming
up soon.
Soon enough.
I guess we'll see.
It depends on how crazy this bidding between Disney and Fox or in Comcast becomes.
Yeah.
Because don't get it twisted. Disney wants Fox.
Yes.
Very badly.
And I don't even think that NBC wants them. They just don't want Disney to have them. Or if they do, they want it to be very expensive.
Right.
And they're well on the way to doing that. Yes. They got outbid the
I think it's up to like 80.
Yeah. But like the first day.
Yeah.
The first day after the merger got approved, then they're like, all right, we'll double down on that.
Right.
What do you want? Yeah. So,
ridiculous.
I guess we'll see.
I think it'd be funny though if like they didn't approve Disney buying it.
Yeah.
Like they approved it for Comcast, but not for
Disney.
Not for Disney. So it's like, oh, come on, guys, what the fuck?
But I think it's going to be interesting. I guess we'll have to see how that.
And then Comcast comes back when Disney's denied, and it's just like our new offer, $2. Nobody else will fucking buy you.
And I mean, wait, so because the guy who runs Disney is talking about running for president. Right?
Is he still in charge of Disney? I thought he already left.
He used to be in charge of Disney.
Eisner?
Yes.
Yeah.
But he's like talking about running for president.
Yes, I think
He's got close connections to Disney.
You know what I think he's doing? He's talking about running for president like Trump did 20 years ago, in the sense that he's like gathering friends at his place and going just like, wouldn't it be fun if I ran for president?
To be fair, Trump did run for president. We
Well,
forget that. 15 years ago, he ran for president. He just lost.
He ran on the same party that Jesse Ventura was in, and
Ross
it
Perot.
was a shit show.
Yeah.
No, it was a different one.
It wasn't Ross Perot's party?
No, because Ross Perot was like independent. Was just independent.
The independent party. Yes.
Yeah, but
that's right. Buchanan was his candidate.
Whatever. I can't remember. It did have independent in it, so I'm going to give you like like a smidge of credit for that. But it was like the Independent Freedom and Prosperity Party or something like that. Some weird one.
Yeah, but by the way,
that means they don't want you to have independence or prosperity, or freedom.
When Trump says that he won the very first time he tried, that's not true.
Yeah.
He had more than one exploratory committee, and I believe that he filed more than once for president.
He did.
More than twice.
He got blown the fuck out in Iowa because nobody could have voted for him because he was on a third party. And that's, I think, part of the reason why he
ran as Republican.
Well, ran as a Republican. Yeah. And then when they were just like, is there any chance that you're going to run independent? He was just like joking around that he would. But if he got defeated in the Republican primary, he never would have run as an independent.
He learned his lesson.
He would have gotten fucking torched.
Yeah.
And that's so funny how somebody could win the presidency under a Republican.
Right.
But if he was of it, like if it was like Jeb Bush and Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump as like an independent, Trump would not win a single fucking state. Not one of them.
That's because you are all sheep and you just vote for the letter that's next to someone's name. You don't actually care. You just don't want the other team to win.
Well, to be fair, too, I think so many, much like to bring up with like the Independent Freedom Prosperity Party, like the thing is that there's much like Republicans and Democrats where, 85, 90% of your ideologies can be somewhere close to the party that you believe in. Maybe you're a Republican, but you still like gay marriage or something like that. Like there's things that you differentiate with, but then like you look at the independent parties and you're like, oh, there's 85% of their ticket that I agree with, but the other 15% is just wildly crazy. Like it's like, oh, I think I could be a green. And it's just like, well, that means that we suffocate people who chop down trees. And it's just like, seems like a bridge. It seems like a bridge too far. Seems like not the way I want to spend my Sunday.
I mean, I could be a member of the Freedom of Information and Prosperity Party, but we want to shoot migrants at the border. Okay. Okay. Not, it's a bridge too far for me. I can't, I'm a fiscal conservative. I'm just not down with the, murdering people.
You could be a libertarian and believe that the government shouldn't be able to do anything. It should all be public enterprise. But at the same time, you have to suck Ron Paul's cock.
Whoa.
So it's like, whoa.
It's a bridge too far.
Nobody wants to do that.
No, not even his wife. Although apparently, wait, was it him or was it his son, the neighbor?
Oh, it was Rand Paul.
Yeah. The neighbor just like ran across and tackled him. Yeah. And like the guy's up on federal charges now.
Somebody sent that to me, and I was looking forever for the gif of Homer and George H.W. Bush fighting The Simpsons. Like just any one of them would have done. I would have been so happy.
And the thing is,
I think it was you. I think you sent me
send it
to me on like Twitter, and I was looking for like a solid 15 minutes for like Homer versus Bush.
The abuse of the system. And this time it's impacting a white person. I'm surprised there's not more outrage. But the guy who is up on charges right now is being charged with assaulting a sitting U.S. congressman. He didn't have a problem with a sitting U.S. congressman. He's got a problem with his asshole neighbor who's piling up brush on his property.
Yeah.
And he's asked him to stop it 3 or 4 times. And when he didn't, he was like, hey, Rand, asshole. And he like ran over and jumped him. Like, come on.
But it's the same thing with like the police multipliers. Like if you beat up some guy in a 7-Eleven parking lot and then you find out later that it was a police officer, they're going to get you with like...
Oh, yeah. Assaulting an officer.
Yeah. Even though that guy wasn't like on duty. He was just wearing a Mexicans Go Home t-shirt.
Well, I mean, listen, they kill black people when they're not on duty. That's okay. So apparently they're always on duty. That's totally fine. Speaking of Trump, smooth transition.
Yeah.
So the one thing that happened this week that we really do have to talk about is the continued degradation of the situation at the border.
Yes.
So in his infinite benevolence, Trump signed a executive order this week, which stopped the separation of children from their parents, which was clearly done by the Democrats. And
the media coverage,
yes.
The problem was that there were this time it seemed like Fox News, while they still sort of turned the tide of public opinion a bit on it, were having a hard time explaining the videos and sounds of crying children.
Ooh.
Especially like when Ann Coulter says like, "Don't pay attention to it, Mr. President. These are child actors." Or like crisis actors
like
or whatever.
A 2-year-old?
Yeah. It's like, we hired this 4-year-old Guatemalan girl to be a crisis actor. Like,
or Corey Lewandowski going, wah, wah, wah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
But the worst part of that, like, if he did that just in general, it would have been bad. But he was also talking about a 10-year-old with Down syndrome who was being separated from their mother.
Yes.
Like, womp womp. It's like, You asshole.
Wow.
Did you hear the cotton picking one too?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This is like a banner week for Fox commentators who can't keep their shit together.
But so Trump,
And like Laura Ingraham saying that they were like summer camps and
that the camps where the kids were. Yes. The one they're separated from their parents.
yeah. The 105 degree in the Texas summer heat with no air conditioning on concrete floors with metal blankets.
Yeah.
Like,
summer camp.
Yeah, summer camp. It's exactly like my summer camp.
Yeah, it reminds me of summer camp, 100%.
Less kickball, more.
But nonetheless, so in March, Jeff Sessions institutes a policy with the Department of Homeland Security and the Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Then a few months later, President Trump, through it was an executive order, I want to say. Executive order? Yes. He rescinds that policy. And in so doing, blames the Democrats in Congress for the policy, which his administration instituted, says that he wants to return to law and order, which
many of his campaign people. So I mean, like campaign people, John Kelly, Stephen Miller, Jeff Sessions were all on TV at various points prior to the shit show really blowing up. So when did we first talk about this? Like 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So like then Jeff Sessions and Stephen Miller and John Kelly, we're all on TV going like, yeah, this is our new thing. We're separating.
This is what we're doing.
Yeah, this is what we're doing. Zero tolerance. Enjoy it. Nobody will come now.
Bet they won't come to the border anymore.
Yeah.
Bet they won't seek asylum in this city on a hill, shining city on a hill. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but the scarier news for all of us Americans is that they are making moves to eliminate due process for all of these cases. Now, friend of the show, Roberto, who is of Latin descent, if you will, I'm scared for him. Oh. I don't want him to go anywhere within 100 miles of a border. Because as was shown in the news story this week in Maine, where they shut down I-95 80 miles from the border with Canada and basically started stopping cars and asking for papers. Like, papers, please. Now, I know you think I'm joking, and I know you've had in your mind, that wonderful World War II movie of some sort where the Gestapo stops the car and says, papers, please.
Yeah.
And you're like, that doesn't happen here. Oh, no. Oh, it does. It happened in Maine this week in 2018.
Yeah.
And if you just happen to, I don't know, look Latino, and you may have happened to, I don't know, forgotten your wallet that day, what the Trump administration would like to do is suggest send you directly back to Mexico.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Regardless
matter
of whether or not you are from Mexico.
You might be El Salvadorian or Colombian or Chilean. Doesn't matter. Back to Mexico.
To Mexico with you.
Yeah. You look Mexican, we're sending you back to Mexico.
Oh, you're from Tijuana? Enjoy your time in Veracruz.
We're just going to send you wherever. But
we took an opportune time to both take a drink.
Sorry. Yeah. I was not thinking about that. Nonetheless, so the elimination of due process, some might say, some of Corey's ilk and the alt-right might say, hey, they're not citizens. They don't deserve due process. That's an American thing. Can you play devil's advocate a little bit, Corey? And just
on why can I say my exact opinion on this matter? Yes, I can.
Can you tell us what a logical person and not a member of your ilk might say?
Yeah, I can tell you what Corey Baker, thinks about this issue. I think any elimination of due process, whether or not it's for Americans or anybody who isn't from America, is a dangerous first step into due process being eliminated elsewhere. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, I remember when I was sitting down to watch Minority Report and they eliminated due process because they had the precogs now. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, this is still a dangerous system because what happens if something goes wrong and there's no way to battle, to like defend yourself in court kind of thing,
well, then you have a Minority Report. It's clear. Go look for your Minority Report.
Yeah. I just, what happens here is that, say Roberto is picked up. Mm-hmm. Like he goes to visit Kansas for an acting role. And some police officer pulls him over and says, you don't look like you're from around here, boy. And then
emphasis on the boy.
Yeah. And then Roberto
it's
responds,
a 19-year-old police officer saying, you don't look like you from around here, boy.
Yeah. somebody younger than Roberto. Doogie Howser, Kansas PD.
Yeah, Doogie Howser PD.
Yeah. And then Roberto's like, I have my license right here. It says I'm from Arizona. He's just like, yeah, I've seen a lot of them fakes. Get in the truck.
Yeah.
And then no judge, no lawyer, no anything, just Mexico. Enjoy your time in Mexico.
Next step, Veracruz. Yeah. Yes. Yep.
I see. Here's the thing is too that I know that people there's some people who are just too dumb to like think about how like like how all those stories where it's just like you're like, well, why should I give a shit about gay marriage? It doesn't matter to me. Like, why should I care about the gay wedding cake story? It doesn't matter to me. I'm straight. I'm gonna get my wedding cake. It's like, yeah, true. Absolutely. You're going to get your wedding cake. But maybe also you don't get to eat at the Red Hen one day. Like, maybe you and your family are asked to leave because you make other people uncomfortable.
By the way.
And you ain't gay.
As your people would know, it was less than 100 years ago when we were still okay with posting no Irish need apply.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So these things have a funny way of turning around on us.
Yeah.
And maybe we shouldn't just go jumping over big fences that we can't get back.
Yeah, and it's going to be all fun and games until the day where you get pulled over for speeding and then you don't get a chance to defend yourself in court at all because we had the Speedo reading. What could you possibly have to say about it? Just pay your $500 to the state, please. And if you don't, then we're going to take away your car. We're going to take away your ability to get a job. We're going to take it off your check.
Well, actually, they already do all of those things.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying like...
I mean, at least you could theoretically get a court case.
At the very least, I mean, I think it's bullshit. In California, you got to pay the fine first.
Right.
But I mean, like, at least in California, if I get caught speeding and I pay the fine and then I say I want to plead this out in court or like go to court on this, like I at least get to go to court at one point. Right. I get to sit in front of a judge and he's just like, what the fuck? You're crazy. Guilty.
He looks at the officer and he says, did you get him on the speedometer? And he was like, yes. And he's like, all right. Anything? I mean, that's all the evidence that we need. I don't really know. I
mean, I don't... He was mean to you? Yes, he's an officer of the law. What would you expect?
And first of all, how fast were you going? You got stopped speeding in L.A. God. You really got to draw somebody's attention. But no. All jokes aside, it is...
I was only going 70 miles an hour over the limit.
All jokes aside, it's a very serious thing. And it's easy for some, not for me, but for some to say, well, you come here illegally, in a misdemeanor, by the way, or not illegally because asylum seekers are supposed to present themselves at the border and say, hey, I would like asylum, which is what they're doing. And then they're separating the children from the parents and saying, how much do you want asylum? We'll give you back your kids if you just agree to go home.
Yeah.
So... yeah, but it's a slippery slope. That's the point, is that you might say, hey, these people don't deserve constitutional rights, but then at what point are we just saying we get to decide who deserves rights? That's the problem.
I think it would, our whole society would work better right now if we replaced anybody who is in a news story with your good friend Becky or your brother Stan or whatever. Like pick...
They love to do that for cops, right?
Yeah.
It's always about how, some cops may be bad, but my uncle isn't bad.
Right.
Let's take Juan and make that your Uncle John.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like imagine you have a sister, Sarah.
Yes.
So imagine that Sarah called you and she said, I just moved into this neighborhood and I'm really scared all the time. There's drug warfare going on and I'm just afraid that I'm going to, gonna catch a bullet or something's gonna happen to my property or people are gonna come in and try and rob and kill me or something like that.
Move away from the police station. What are you doing there?
You would say to her you have to do what you have to do to get to a safe place.
Yes.
Whatever is causing you to be in this situation right now, you need to figure out a way to get away from it.
Yeah.
Move in with mom and dad for a while. Do whatever you can to get away from the danger.
Walk 3,000 miles if that's what it takes.
Yeah, do whatever it takes because it's not just you, it's your kid, it's you have to be responsible here.
Yeah.
And if you said, if your best friend said the same thing, you'd be like, do whatever you can to get away from this situation. But when it's Raul from Mexico who's trying to avoid the cartels in his neighborhood in Mexico, and he's coming to America to try and find safety, we're just like, get the fuck out of here, Raul.
Yes. 100%.
Ain't nobody got time for your problems.
So how about this? Next news story. When you see the cop who shot somebody, be like, okay, maybe that cop shot somebody, but my Uncle John, he would never do that. Next news story you see about Raul, the guy from El Salvador who's running from the death squads who want to kill him and his family. Let's make that Uncle John and see how you feel about the story.
Or just put somebody's, on any one of the police shooting cases where you're just like, well, Michael Brown was a dangerous criminal and he was going to die soon anyway because he was involved in criminal enterprises. Just take whatever name it is, say Philando Castile, and say,
sure.
Instead of Philando Castile, it was my sister Sarah. And then she was just driving along and she said, hey, officer, just to let you know, I have a gun in the car. And then the officer shot her 15 times. How often?
With her kid in the car.
How often would you be outside of the DA's office going like, this is fucking unacceptable and this officer needs to be put away forever?
Yeah.
Like every single day for the rest of your life. It would become the thing that makes you wake up in the morning and go to sleep at night thinking about the opportunity to try and find justice for the sister you love so much. But this random person who you never heard of, and it's just like, oh, really sad. I hope nothing happens to the cop. No. Fuck everybody. If this is somebody you knew, you would not act this way.
Yes.
If somebody you knew was in a dangerous, drug-infested neighborhood, you wouldn't say like, oh, man, it sucks to be you, but, I guess you pick where you live, and that's where it is. Like,
yep. Sorry you were born in there. Best of luck.
That's the thing. Like, I am, despite the fact that I have come from more means than most, I also, even if I was just poor in America, like dirt poor in America, you could already say I'm so much more advantaged than anybody else in the world.
Oh, yeah.
There's people who don't have fucking clean water. There's people who die from diseases when they're 17 years old.
Or they're roving death squads.
Yeah.
How about that?
There's people in the Philippines being killed for being gay. There's
Yeah.
like all kinds of different shit that you don't have to deal with because you just happen to be lucky enough to A, be born a human, B, be born in the United States, and C, not die of cholera when you were in the fetus. Like we gotta think about this in terms of like we all just happened to be born in America. So let's try and take this advantage and use it to help benefit others. Ooh. Because part of the American ideal is not just the land that we love, but extending this idea of freedom and prosperity to other parts of the globe.
You are sounding a bit communist there, sir.
The difference is...
No borders?
No, I'm not saying no borders, but I'm saying that the border shouldn't... I've always thought we should have borders. We should, if we want to protect them, then we should allow ourselves to have some sort of way to protect them. Because I don't want people just walking randomly through the desert in between two countries.
Sure.
If you want to have some sort of border patrol, I understand why you would. But at the same time, I don't think it should be like, if I want to go visit Mexico, it shouldn't be a difficult procedure of me like proving to the state who I am. Like, I'm an American citizen. I left. I went to Mexico. They welcomed me. I should come back without any...
The line to get in, 10 minutes. The line to get back, 10 hours.
Yeah.
No, we don't need to be doing that.
Yeah. I mean, I would very much like to be able to just travel the world without having to think about like borders and stuff like that. And I understand why, North Korea and South Korea, there's a reason for a very strong border there.
Yeah, sure.
Saudi Arabia or Israel or any other of these countries in the Middle East that have more serious problems that go way back further than the history of America. I understand why you have border patrol. I understand why you have a little bit more security around.
Canada, the United States?
Yeah, I mean, like, what the...
No need.
Yeah, just go to Canada. Enjoy yourself.
But speaking of things that would make the world a much better place, I think one of them would be if George Will if more Republicans would read the words of George Will.
It's so funny, too, because I was... I made some sort of mention... to my father about like how I like to read stories from many different news sources.
Yeah.
He's just like, yeah, what kind of news sources? He's just like, well, like the Washington Post or the Wall Street Journal. And he's just like, yeah, you read the fucking Washington Post. I'm just like, George Will works there. Like, what do you want from me?
What a liberal rag.
What a liberal rag. That George Will with his birth control and his abortions. Like, no. All right, so people who don't know, people who are just hearing me, and maybe have only known of George Will from Ken Burns baseball. Let me explain to you who he is. He's American writer, journalist. I guess journalist is a little. He's not. He wasn't going out and getting the scoops, but he'd write sort of opinion pieces on news stories. Well
researched responses to news pieces.
But he's not going out there and meeting Deep Throat or anything like that. But like we're going to call him a journalist for inclusionary purposes.
I mean, listen, half the people on Fox News consider themselves journalists.
Well, yeah, I mean,
and under that umbrella,
it's always funny when they say Hannity's a journalist, and then as soon as there's any kind of a legal trouble, it's just like, listen, he's an entertainer who has a talk show.
I don't know what you expect from him.
He's a personality who happens to have a talk show on our network, which is called Fox News, but it's actually not news. And I don't know why you would think that it's news.
Why would you think it's news? Fair and balanced?
It's an entertainment show, clearly.
Fox News. Anyway, George Will.
We're just the other side of the Daily Show. But George Will has, for pretty much the entire time he's been alive, has just been a stodgy, middle-aged conservative guy.
Yeah. Been middle-aged his whole life.
Yeah.
Even when he was young.
He literally came out the womb just like, this is preposterous, the situation we found ourselves in.
Yeah. But definitely a guy who's on the conservative side of history.
Yeah.
Always.
Yes.
Always.
And one of those guys who if there was a controversial decision by a Republican president, you could expect to read a column from George Will, which was filled with all the SAT words and explains to you in a way that makes it sound like he's the smartest man in the world and you're the dumbest idiot who ever lived, that you shouldn't worry about what George W. Bush is doing. He's just trying to help us.
Yeah.
Like, just pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, that whole thing. But it always seemed to come, at least from him, from a place of, this is something that I believe.
Right.
And I have seen the logical side of where we're coming from on this, and that this is the opinion piece that I've decided to write for the Washington Post or Newsweek about this place I come from. And it always sounded like he was a well-grounded guy. And this week, George Will, the bastion of the right, wrote a column that I know he doesn't write the headlines, but the headline got put as "Don't vote for the GOP in November." Which is an aggressive turn. It would be like if Bernie Sanders had a press conference tomorrow, and he was just like, "Hey, I've been thinking about it a bit, and I think we should bring back slavery." And you'd be like, "Whoa, what?" And you're just like, I never would have imagined I would have heard those words come out of Bernie Sanders' mouth. Like the most liberal person I've ever seen has decided to say something so dramatically off course, off prompter.
And and again, those who are in the know that the person who writes the story almost never writes the headline.
Right.
And when you sent me the story, I thought you sent it to me in irony. That I was going to read this thing that some liberal editor...
Like it was an Onion article or something like that?
Yeah, just the liberal editor found one little thing in there and George Will was going to be pissed.
It literally could have been an Onion article 10 years ago.
Yes, absolutely. But it was
If I just wrote one that was obviously a fake George Will, then it just said, don't vote for the GOP in November, George Will, I would look at that and I'd be like, hilarious. The Onion always gets it.
Yeah.
Nails it right on the head.
And I read the article expecting at some point for it to just be like, well, I've soured a bit on the party, but I'm not burning my card yet. I believe in this party.
Yeah.
Nope. It was, we need some medicine, and that means you should not vote for any of our candidates in November.
He basically equated Trumpism to a disease that has taken over the party.
Yeah.
And the only way for the people to learn is to vote for literally anyone who is not in the party right now.
Yeah.
Just vote for Democrats. Vote for anybody who...
Greens?
Yeah, Greens, anything. Anything that is not a current member of the Republican House, Senate, or White House.
Yeah.
Just get rid of it. And then maybe maybe at some point in the future we can come back to a age of civility within the GOP, and then and only then can you vote for them again. But
Yeah.
like that was the essential argument of his piece, and I was just like, I was literally like, I was looking at it going like, there's no way he wrote like this is the craziest thing I've ever seen George Will ever put to paper.
And by the way, not saying vote for Democrats, because he does take the Democrats in Congress to task.
Yeah.
But saying we need to purge the Trumpism from the party.
Yeah.
And that will take us swallowing our pride and voting for just anyone else. It happens to be that we're two parties, and the Democrats are going to be probably who you vote for. But Democrats who are there now, in fact, I think in there he mentions, like, you should not vote for anyone who's in office right now.
Yeah.
But given a choice between that and a Republican, you should vote for the person who's in office now who's not a Republican.
Yeah.
Just mind-blowing stuff from the most staunch Republican.
And what's funny is I haven't read any of the coverage of that article yet, but I'm absolutely positive that somewhere I'm gonna be able to find like a Laura Ingraham tweet where she's just like, George Will has always been and will always be the stupid Democratic idiot Democrat.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna be like, huh.
So we've turned the corner, huh? Okay.
Oh, George Will, all of a sudden, after 80 years of being the model Republican, is going to be your fucking the hill you die on. Is that it?
George Will, who would have defended Reagan, no matter what.
Like
He's
literally
arming Guatemalan death squads. We don't know that these aren't good death squads. Just maybe give him, it's within his authority as president to do these things. We need to trust in the White House. Did Nixon break into Watergate? I'm telling you, he didn't do it personally, so maybe we should just let it go.
Listen, if somebody decides to do something on their own, how am I to stand in their way?
Listen.
I have no idea that the president had any knowledge of this.
We can't prove it. We don't know. Wait, he what? Okay, so he resigned. That doesn't mean that he's guilty. It means he wants to put politics back.
It means he really likes Gerald Ford and thinks it's his time to shine. Like,
but that's George Will. Like literally, it's like,
but I mean,
how
like,
can I twist this to be good for the Republican Party?
No, but I mean, like, in comparison to like and this is the part I've always respected George Will, even though I haven't always agreed with him.
Right,
but
as a member of the alt-right, I'm sure he didn't go far enough at some point.
I've always respected him as a thinker and as a mind and as a writer. I've enjoyed his pieces over the years. I'm a big fan, and there have been many times where I've disagreed with him, but I could always make the argument when I was reading a piece, even when I disagreed with him, that he was coming from the right mind. Like, this is just what he felt.
Yes, yeah.
And there's some people that I know, like, I see the stupid Trump people on Facebook all the time where they're just like, you know, Trump standing up for our border is the best president I've ever had. He's the only one who really cares about America. And I'm just like, all right, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Yeah. But you really believe that if we solve this issue of immigration by strengthening up the border, then you're going to be able to, like, you know, Trump is doing what you want him to do, blah, blah, blah.
That guy's finally going to get a job now. Once we strengthen that border. Yeah.
He's going to be able to pick all the crab meat he wants for $8 an hour.
So I really do want to see some of the coverage, too. Honestly, like, so much happened this weekend, and I would really have liked to dive in a little more, but I was out of town for the weekend. I was very busy with the visits and running and going to the Queen Mary, and it was very fantastic and not relaxing at all because I walked so much. But I guess we could follow up and see if there's any good coverage of the story. I imagine it's a bunch of people on the right saying, what a traitor. This is what a traitor looks like.
George Will the cook.
Yeah. George Will the cock. And a bunch of people on the left saying, wait, who's George Will? No, we can't agree with him. What's he saying? No, vote Republicans. Vote for Republicans in the fall. Just out of a knee-jerk reaction of not agreeing with George Will whatsoever. So
that's not a Democratic haircut.
So we have about 10 minutes left.
Yes.
I want to do a quick-fire lightning round, and then I'm going to let you espouse your beliefs on the last point of this lightning round.
Okay.
So, lightning round. Number one. Came to a story that I think we didn't talk about in the pre-show meeting, but I'm just going to toss out and get your genuine reaction here. U.S. Special Operations Division came to light last Friday. This is a division of the U.S. military that has Darth Vader on their symbol. No joke.
Yes.
There is a part of the U.S. military that uses Darth Vader as their symbol.
Yeah.
Because they have their hands in everything.
Right.
Thoughts?
Probably not the one you want to use. I mean, it would be like if there was a symbol with the hunter that killed Bambi's mom. It just doesn't seem right. Like, he's not the good guy in Star Wars. He's the bad guy. If you put the Emperor on there, could you get worse? Like,
even if I wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt, I read this first part of the story and I was just like, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, but like, you have Darth Vader as your symbol. Like, how could I even try to walk down this street of giving you the benefit?
Yeah.
Anyway, so apparently they're reading all your emails and spying on you illegally. And basically what their modus operandi is to go in and do searches and then come back out. They do the illegal search. Then they give the legitimate police officers the information to go in and do a valid search.
Yeah.
So that the police officers can say, we didn't go in. We just have on good authority that this thing is true.
Anonymous sources have told us.
Yes. And trustworthy, anonymous.
Yeah.
A confidential informant on who we've relied in the past, who has been known to be trustworthy, has said this is the case. And because of that, we would need to get a warrant. So essentially, they're just bypassing the Fourth Amendment by going in illegally, then passing that information on and pretending like there's this Chinese wall between them that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So
2018 is a lot of fun.
Weird. Very weird. Second story, AT&T. That bastion of protection of information. Come to find out, maybe not so much.
Yeah.
You heard us talk last year. Last year? Was it last year? Maybe earlier this year. I can't remember. About how AT&T basically said that they will turn over any information as requested to the government.
We've been talking about this since episode 1. I mean,
I
essentially,
felt like it was in the basement. I felt like it was.
No, I mean, like we've come back to this point many times.
Yeah.
Maybe we haven't talked about it in depth, but we've essentially said over and over again, if you want to make sure that none of your information is secure, you want to be on AT&T. And you want to have an iPhone.
Yes.
Those are the two ways you can absolutely guarantee that the cops will be able to read anything that you've ever done with no questions asked. Because Apple, despite the fact that they put up their front when they were trying to get into some criminal's iPhone that one time, you remember they had the passcode and they couldn't get past?
Yeah, we're not going to give you the passcode. Sorry.
Yeah, but despite the fact that they got in the news for that once, they have a long and storied history of police departments going, hey, we need to see what's in Rob's iPhone. And it's just like, do you have a warrant? It's just like, yeah, sure, why not? And they're like, all right, well, here's Rob's iPhone.
Yeah.
AT&T is very much the same way and have been pretty much since the towers fell in New York. So, it's just a double dip of terribleness.
But come to find out, AT&T is not only giving away their own subscribers' information, now they're giving away, or they have been since 1998 or so, been giving away anyone who's using that. So AT&T and Verizon use two different technologies for cell service.
Yeah, it's CDSM and I can't remember the other one.
CDSM is AT&T though. I can't remember which one Verizon uses.
Right.
But like, so when you see
it's
T-Mobile,
like G something, I can't remember. Yeah.
When you like use T-Mobile or Sprint or any of those other ones, those are actually using CDSM technology, which is AT&T towers.
Mm-hmm.
So if you use those, not only was AT&T giving away their own subscriber information, but they were giving away everything you were doing on your phone as well.
Or if you had Verizon and you were texting somebody who had AT&T, all that information as well.
So come to find out, there are these big, I guess they're skyscrapers. I mean, technically they're pretty tall.
Yeah, I mean, there's one like not even a half a mile away from here on Grand Avenue, which is a pretty expensive piece of property too.
No windows.
Yeah.
And it's just basically server space and
earthquake proof.
Yep. Nuclear bomb proof.
Nuclear bomb proof.
Yeah.
And every single day throughout all of the world, the equivalent of 60 billion MP3 files, like regular songs worth of data, is transferred every single day and gone through one of these 8 facilities. There might be more. We just know about 8 of them.
And maybe that's good for AT&T. They need to keep track of what's going on. But what's not good is that they've basically given the NSA the keys to this and said, hey, you can just go in and randomly search for whatever you want. And let's say that I sent Corey, an AT&T subscriber, an email or a message, and I said, "Hey, you should call my friend Tony." And I give you the phone number. It's 1 digit off.
Yeah.
But that 1 digit happens to be a number that is tied to someone who might be tied to something. Terrorism, maybe. Drug dealing, maybe. Something. Now, the entirety of my phone contents, the entirety of his phone contents, and the entirety of Tony's phone contents likely will be dumped into this server.
Yeah.
And the NSA will say, hey, we need to take a little closer look at this and figure out what's going on with these people.
Right.
Back in 2007, the FISA court, the ones that are supposed to protect us from this, said this is a drastic overreach, this is unconstitutional, and you should stop it. So, of course, they didn't stop it at all.
Yeah.
They marked everything with no agent should ever look at this, which, I mean, if you know anything about human beings, would mean that nobody ever looked at it again.
Right.
So
another one, just for our Maryland people, because there is a primary coming up on Tuesday here. I should let you know that Dutch Ruppersberger is responsible for the 2015 National Defense Authorization Act, which basically made all this legal. So he was the chair of the committee who wrote this entire bill and said that none of your privacy is, or none of your data is of your own personal use. It is completely usable to the government anytime they want, and go fuck yourself. So I never voted for Dutch Ruppersberger. I always tried to find somebody else to vote for whenever I had to vote for her in a race where he was involved. I would suggest you do the same. And if we can just go into the last one right here.
Well, I wanted to say one other thing, too.
Yeah.
Is that despite the fact that the Supreme Court has, I don't know, not been a very good ally in the last, ever, I don't know, the last 10 years or so.
Yeah.
They did rule that was government.
Cancel.
Thanks, Google.
Stop listening, wiretap.
And now we're on another list. They did rule that your geolocation, if the government following you via your geolocation without a warrant, is a violation of the Fourth Amendment.
Yeah.
So, OnePlus, they did maintain that they did overturn all the lower courts on their gerrymandering. So, gerrymandering, okay. But don't follow individual citizens with their geolocation. Basically, it's about whether it impacts white people or not.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yes, the last story. California leading the way in net neutrality.
Yeah.
The Senate passes one of the strongest in the nation net neutrality bills. So clearly, we are about to set the tone for the rest of the nation.
Yeah. You know, throughout most of the last year and a half or 2 years with Trump in office, there have been many issues where I've told people to go call your congressman or call your representative. If you live in, Kansas and you have a representative who's going to overturn net neutrality, it is absolutely important that you call and make your voice heard on this. And as a member of, or as a citizen of downtown Los Angeles, California, I pretty much felt like I was completely oblivious from having to make these calls or do any of these things, because it's like, oh, my congressman is going to be as left as humanly possible, so I don't have to worry about net neutrality. Both my senators are both made it well-intentioned that they're not going to do anything about it. Jerry Brown, the governor, and Gavin Newsom, the lieutenant governor, said they're going to do everything they can to overturn net neutrality.
I was going to say, not our congressman, but one in the neighboring district basically said, go harass any Trumper, anywhere, at any time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm down with that. That's fine.
I mean, it has been so securely leftist that you didn't have to worry about these little things, or thought you didn't.
Thought so.
Until this week, when Assemblyman Miguel Santiago of District 53, downtown Los Angeles, East LA, MacArthur Park, that sort of area, decided that he was going to take a big old sledgehammer to the net neutrality bill, which would have been the strongest in the country, and now made it weaker than the provisions that Obama had in the original net neutrality ruling that was put through the FEC, or FCC, I'm sorry, not FEC. And I'm really kind of shocked and incredibly mad about it, because he he knew that people are going to be upset, so he decided not to have any public comment on it. Mm-hmm. He did it all during the cover of the night, which makes me think of Robert Irsay and the Colts.
Sore subject still.
Yeah, still needling me a little bit, even though I wasn't even born when it happened. It still bothers me inside. Yeah, and I called his office. I called his office here in LA. I called his office in Sacramento many times on Monday before this vote was supposed to happen, and then on Tuesday as well. On Tuesday, I finally got through to somebody in his Sacramento office and was talking to them about it. And I said, why in the world would you possibly do this? Like, I need a really good explanation for why this happened. And he said to me, he worked on it. He was working on the language of the bill, on the amendments and stuff like that.
The person you were talking to.
The person I was talking to.
Yeah.
He was very close to this whole thing. And he said that this is the only way that this bill, when it passes, would be able to still be acceptable under the law federally. Because if they put out this law as it was written by the Senate, then it would immediately be struck down by federal courts or the FCC federally because it does not meet the standards that the federal limit has set.
But it's stronger than the standards.
Stronger than the standards the federal limit has set. But he said, we're not going to win that case. So we're not even going to bother writing up this law and putting it forward because we're going to just end up losing and not have anything. And I said, listen, I haven't voted for Miguel Santiago yet. Probably won't be doing it now. But when I look to vote for people, I look for somebody who has courage to their conviction. If, I don't know, there was an epidemic of beating women that happened in my district, I would want my assemblyman to go up and on a stage and go, this is absolutely uncalled for, reprehensible. I am not going to allow this to continue. I'm going to do everything I can to fix this issue. Miguel Santiago has done that sort of thing on like homelessness. He's done that sort of thing on many other different issues. But on the one issue that I really needed him to step up for me on, he decided to cower like a little tiny coward. So, Kevin Zhang, I can't remember his exact name. Please forgive me. I will make sure that it goes up on the post for this episode, is a Democrat who's running against him in the general election. Remember we talked about the California best two?
Yeah, two
system?
Democrats.
Two Democrats are running against each other.
Funny.
So you don't even have to give up your morals, Los Angeles, and vote for a Republican. You have a Democrat to choose from. Miguel Santiago has no business being in office. If he's too cowardly to stand up to the federal government, that's all that I need Democrats to be doing right now.
Yeah, literally.
I sometimes the things that some of these Democrats say, especially in California, make me sick, but I swallow it. I find a way to deal with it in efforts to fight the federal government wherever they stand. This is one of those things where I'm stuck in the middle between two things I really hate, and this one is willing to beat up this one. And if the left is not willing to even show up for the fight, then you are worthless to me. You are just making me upset all the time for no good reason. So let us please take this moment to put Miguel Santiago into a cannon and fire him into the sun, and hopefully the Space Force will be in there in time to keep him from burning alive.
The brand new Space Force,
yeah,
by the way, which is different from the Air Force. And they have a different job.
Yeah.
Totally
different from the Army.
Different from the Army.
Yeah.
Different from everyone else who's already in space, as we discussed on a previous episode.
Maybe Trump's just going to take the entire NASA budget and just move it over to Space Force.
Would you be okay with it then?
No.
All right, so before...
I would rather have NASA have a budget than a Space Force have a budget. I mean, my thoughts on NASA have been well documented, but still, we don't need to... You don't need to do that. And yeah, Miguel Santiago, go fuck yourself.
Well, all right. Before we get out of here, we do want to take...
Fuck them all to death.
We do want to take one quick trip to a place we haven't been in a while. Down to the Baltimore corner.
Where you get the straight dope.
So, we would be remiss if we didn't discuss today or this week the fact that Keith Davis once again was on trial.
Yes.
Once again, a mistrial, not by misaction, but by a jury not being able to come to a unanimous decision on him.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that the last day of, or 2 days before the last day of trial, the state brought out evidence that they'd withheld for the last 3 years and his previous 3 trials, which is a video of somebody who is not Keith Davis walking in the direction of where the crime was committed, pulling on a ski mask.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know, seems pretty important to me. If the crime is that there was somebody in a mask who shot someone else, I feel like that's a key piece of information.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, jury was unable to come to a complete verdict because, racism. I mean, that's the only excuse I have.
You know, it's funny. I was reading that story when I was sitting with my dad about the evidence that was withheld.
Yeah.
And I said, he said, well, if that's true, then Marilyn Mosby should be disbarred. And I'm just like, interesting. I wonder why nobody has ever brought up this idea for any of the number of shit that she's done.
And by the way, she should absolutely be disbarred. And as a member of the Maryland State Bar, I would encourage her to be disbarred. I think that is absolutely what should happen. But more importantly, she should be
because the
kicked out of
judges
office.
work for the same people.
Well, yes, yeah. More importantly, she should be not reelected in November.
No.
Because she is going up for reelection.
Yeah.
And
that votes today if you're listening to the podcast.
Oh, that's right.
When it comes out. So
yes.
As of right now, if you live in the city and you're a Democrat, you have the chance to effectively choose the next state's attorney.
Yes.
So please do everything you can to not vote for Marilyn Mosby.
And keep in mind that 2 other candidates in that race are Thiru, I'm going to butcher his last name, so I'm not even going to try. Varajna, who continues the Adnan Syed case despite the overwhelming lack or creation of reasonable doubt. And has vowed that he will continue it to the Supreme Court if necessary, despite the fact that he's been granted a new trial. So they're going to have to give him a new trial or something at some point. And Marilyn Mosby and Ivan J. Bates, who, despite, I don't know anything else about their campaigns, but I know that Mr. Bates has said, I will stop the prosecution of Adnan Syed and I will release Keith Davis and not recharge him.
Yeah.
So those 2 facts alone are enough for me to say, you know what? Let's give this guy a chance. He couldn't be any worse than the people who are there.
Yeah.
If he's at least saying responsibly, we're not going to continue these cases that make no sense.
And I would say,
by the way, also he's not going to prosecute any marijuana offenses.
Yeah.
So.
While I think that Bates is probably the best choice, I do like what I've heard from Theroux. Other than the Adnan piece.
Can't do it.
I mean, I'm just
a one-issue voter when it comes to this.
That's fine. That's fine. You have every right to be so. I'm just saying that I know that I listen to Dan Roderick's podcast, so I've heard these people all speak before, other than Marilyn Mosby, who's been too cowardly to get in front of an actual reporter.
She will get up on stage with Common, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the way, I'm done buying Common albums as well. So
I really worry, though, that just with the number of endorsements I saw that Mosby has today, and I don't know why people would endorse her like this, but, beyond me. I think that there's a growing understanding that Bates and Theroux are probably going to cannibalize whatever vote would overtake Mosby.
Yep.
So Mosby might have 40% of the vote, or might have like 34% of the vote.
She's going to win, though.
She's going to win because neither one of those 2 are just going to cancel each other out, and it's going to be a tight 3-way race.
Well, no, and there's like 2 other candidates, too.
Yeah.
So they'll get their 3% or 4% each.
Right.
She'll win with 35% of the vote.
Yeah.
So.
But it's I would say if you're listening to this and you're trying to decide who you're going to vote for in the Baltimore State's Attorney's race, just vote for Bates.
Yeah.
It seems like the easiest vote you're going to make.
Yeah.
To me.
And I mean,
to me.
Again, I don't know what the rest of his platform is, but not prosecuting personal possession of marijuana and freeing 2 people who have clearly been shown to be at least massive reasonable doubt and not wasting more resources.
Well, not only that, but I mean, like, if you haven't listened to Undisclosed talk about the Freddie Gray case, that should be every reason that you have for not wanting Marilyn Mosby to be in charge of any kind of criminal prosecution ever. Because
if you followed the Gun Trace Task Force,
oh yeah, Yep.
Someone in her office leaking information to the police, or her saying, here's a list of people we don't call because we don't want the defense attorneys to get the chance to tear them down on the stand. Mm-hmm. There is nothing good.
What was the other one with the state's attorney's or the public defender's office finding something about a cop or something? I can't remember that story. It was like a year ago.
Too much has happened.
Yeah, I know.
But nothing good. Just basically the public defender's office, whenever they get like a little bit of information, has found that they're violating evidentiary standards. They're violating the standards on witnesses. They are dropping cases when the cops are problematic. So they're dropping good cases because they don't want to ruin other not so good cases that were gotten by bad cops.
Yeah.
Just horrible all around. So that's your Baltimore Corner. Don't vote for Marilyn Mosby. And don't buy Common's albums either, because he supports her, and I don't stand for that nonsense.
Yeah.
But wow, I'm so glad we ended on such a positive note there.
It's been a very happy time podcast. If you want to find more happy time podcasts, otheanthem.com, Corey to otheanthem.com, O The Anthem on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the listener line 443-219-7595.
What's that number again?
443-219-7595. Oh, me? You want to find more of my stuff? Find it at CoreyBakerFilmmaker.com or at LegendsCB5 on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, or Corey Baker Film on Facebook. The Hereditary review is coming up. I got busy on set, so that got delayed a smidge.
Working man.
I know. And then, just keep an eye out. There's going to be, if you follow me on Twitter, there's going to be a big music video that I imagine is going to be very popular that I worked on this past weekend, and you'll be able to see it then.
Okay.
So check out the retweets.
All right. And of course, if you want more from me, you can check me out at Robert N. Cheek on all your social networks. You can also check out robertncheek.com, where you can find links to my political blog, the news website, and the books, which are available on Amazon.
Buy Rob's books.
Wow, that is a really disembodied arm. Just barely in the frame. That's me, Robert N. Cheek. So yeah, at Robert N. Cheek on all your social networks, robertncheek.com. And of course, we might have some developing news when it comes to the books.
Ooh.
Which is very exciting.
Yeah.
So more coming from Variant Publishing. But make sure you check out those books. They're on Amazon. Just search for me. Or Daniel McAllister. Because Amazon is making it very difficult to
link those
to delete the author name of a person who doesn't actually exist. Really should have rethought that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I brought that up to you, and you're just like, it's not going to be that big of a deal.
You did.
Anyway, I think we done good here today.
We've done something. I don't know if it's good. But as always, you're listening to the O The Anthem podcast, part of the O The Anthem digital network. For Corey, this is Rob. Have a great week, everybody.
Buenas noches, Panelontes.
All right, all day.